welcome each of you today to Positive Aging on behalf of Villages, OKC, and Concordia, our new partner. Villages is a network of adults who are committed to living with vitality and purpose. Now, I want to ask you guys, I want to go over, when we started Positive Aging, our goal was to have a really good topic. And let me read real fast the list of topics we've had this year. Finding your purpose. That was January, kick off the year for us. February, we had the best one, but it got canceled because of the weather. It was Love Your Age, and Marilyn Olson would have done that for us. So I think, oh no, listen, she could have done it, done a great job. And then we had a program called How to Stay Out of the ER. Vision Vitality followed it. How many of you remember the Vision Vitality one? It was great. Then we had a Matter of Balance, very important. Medicare all year long. How to make your money last a lifetime. That's what I need. You know, I don't know about you, but do you have a lot of money later? You want to make it last a lifetime, don't you? Here today, here tomorrow. I know that was a very popular one. Remember hearing that? Don't die without these documents. Successful sleep. What is a good death? And today we're going to wrap it up with Mindset Makeover. And I know all of you are going to leave here with excitement and joy in your heart. First of all, I want to see how many members we have today at Villages. You know, we are a member group, so would all of the members rise and stand so we can see who you are? We have some that haven't yet become a member. You're our prospect, so you know we got our eye on you. Yes, we did. So, all right, thank you for standing. Now, at your place, there's lots of handouts. One of them is for you to take notes on as Bruce talks, because we all know when you write something down, you remember it better. Plus, when you leave here and you go share about what a wonderful program this was, you have some notes to help you share that information. We also have the program topics for 2026, so you can scan those, look them over, and see which ones you're going to put in your calendar to attend. We'd like to see you here at each and every one. Later, we're going to pass out our surveys, and we do want all of you to fill those out. And write any notes, and if we need to add a company or a business that you think we need to know about, make sure we do that, because I'm the one that goes through all those surveys and I summarize all of those and put them all together. We value your feedback. We make changes a lot of times with what you've said, so you're important to us, so make sure that you fill that out. Okay. I think I've said enough on my part. We always like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance and a prayer. So Steve McMaster will come up and lead us. And then after that, Marilyn Olson, our Executive Director, she's going to come up and do the introductions for the vendors and the sponsors.
Before I get started, I just want to let you know that if you haven't already dropped my Christmas gift off out there, you can drop it off out there just at the front as you leave. That'd be great. In case you were confused. And John's going to give you a cup of coffee for Christmas. Let's go ahead and, if you will, stand. We'll have the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's pray. Lord, we just thank you today for the opportunity that we have to come here and learn more about things in our world. Help us to get something out of it, take it home with us. Lord, just ask you to bless this group, give them a great season, let them recognize what this season's all about. Lord, we just thank you for all you're doing for us. Ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay, there I am. My name is Marilyn Olson, and it's a delight to be with you today. We're so excited because it's Christmas. And I got my sweater at Sam's, and so did Heather. So they have a few left if y'all are interested. I checked last night, and they're on sale for $2 less than they were last year. So you never know what kind of tips you're going to get. Another tip that I will just tell you is I was looking for gifts for my kids. I have so many kids and grandkids now, and so many of them are driving. And I thought, I'm going to buy one of those cool things that go in between the seat and the console, where you drop stuff all the time, whatever, you know. And so, but it's $25 for each one, and it's like times 10 grandkids, and they all have cars, and it's like, oh my goodness, what's my kids? And it's like, what am I going to do? My husband went on the internet. I mean, there are a few good things, right? And he bought, saw an opportunity, so he went to Home Depot, where every man shops, and he bought an 8-foot extension of pipe insulation. He cut it up, and so for about $2 per kid, they now have their Christmas gift. So that is your free tip. It's black, it looks just like the others. I mean, it's like, you know, you just never know. And so that's what connections can do for you. Isn't that great? So you got to know people, right? And you know, thrifty people, then you can make your money last, right, Billy? That's what you want to do, right? We're so glad our education sponsors are here today. We have Avon Health Partners, we have Directors Life Insurance. Would you wave, Linda? And Lisa, that's right. Lisa had missed a couple of weeks because she was in the hospital, you know. It's tough being human sometimes, isn't it? But we're so glad you're back. And they've got donkeys over there. If you want to meet Marcy, Marty, sorry, the donkey, right? Guardian Angels, New View, Oklahoma. I think Ronita, who usually is at the table, is dealing with a new episode of cancer. And so we want to remember our friends from everywhere. So not only has low vision, but now is dealing with that. So life is hard. That's why we really need each other. The Oklahoma City Rehabilitation Hospital over here, the Tamara, is such a great place. And we know that when you have a need for rehab, you probably need to know that you have options. You don't have to always go where the doctor says. So Oklahoma City Rehab has equipment that no one else in town has. And they have a little mini car, and virtual stairs, and all kinds of things to prepare to go back home. And their retention rate, their return to hospital rate is better than anybody. Is that right, Tim? Yeah, the lowest in town. So you need to know. Then you can see, you can make the best choice for yourself. We have Stretch Zone over here. Wave. This is Maggie. Maggie did not bring her table today, but she'll talk to you about how valuable Stretch Zone is in helping balance, because we all don't want to fall. And so Maggie can help us not have that first fall. So be sure to talk to Maggie. We appreciate all of our education sponsors, and being able to have the information is so important. So make sure when you leave today, make sure you talk to each of them and just tell them you appreciate them. At least tell them Merry Christmas, you know, but that's the least you can do. We have Hearts for Hearing, so we got Julia Lyles over here. Julia is a nurse. She used to work at Integris, and now she's helping all the doctors in town know what Hearts for Hearing can offer, which is a free screening every year. Not just a screening, a full diagnostic, right? And she said she met at Paycom this recently, a 30-what-year-old, 35-year-old, 32-year-old, who said, everyone is telling me I need hearing aids and I don't know what to do. And she said, come to Hearts for Hearing. We will help you know what to do. So knowing people and being connected is so important. So thank you for being a part of that. We have Navigating Medicare back here. We have Chris and Johnny. Where'd Chris go? Oh boy. Get that guy in here. The good thing is you're in place, so thank you, he brought you. Navigating Medicare helps with all kinds of insurance, particularly Medicare, and they will help you understand why you need to know your agent, even not during the enrollment period. So if you have any kind of change throughout the year. If you go to the hospital, you have incident, you might want to check with your agent because things can change and you need to know somebody you can trust and be connected to them. We have Concordia Life Care Community. We have Danny Eishen, the CEO, and Julian. They are not only supporters of Village is Okay, but they're helping us take all of next year into a whole new level. So we'll be having expanded opportunities in many directions. We're grateful that they're there. So, Danny, thank you. Appreciate you taking time to come today. Your load is heavy, and we appreciate that. We have Nerve Renewal over here. We've got Mark. Mark's going to go with me tomorrow when we present to an employer group, because there are working, worried people who don't know where to start. And they don't know that Villages is that one place. And so we are looking for opportunities to let the world know what great things are available here in Oklahoma City. So thanks, Mark, for being here, for being such a strong supporter. Nerve Renewal, if you haven't checked out or listened to their testimonial ads, help people with neuropathy. Chemo-induced neuropathy, diabetic neuropathy in hands and feet. They can help some people with some issues around the head area, am I right? I think, yeah. So they have a new machine I didn't know. I just did a tour the other day. Actually, it was set up by Senior Living Truth Series at Nerve Renewal. And in their clinic, they have a balance machine that I wasn't aware of. And I'm really interested in balance. And so it's like, every week there's something new, and you've got to stay connected to know about that. So I'm just so proud of the work that you're doing in your, what, 5, 6 locations now, right? Around the city, I think. Yeah, and then of course across the state as well. We have, I mentioned the Senior Living Truth Series. Amy, would you wave? Amy has the list of topics. And by the way, Villages doesn't have everything. Just in case you didn't know that. Villages connects people to everything. And one of those we connect to is the Senior Living Truth Series. They have a monthly free seminar, and you should look at attending, or at least help someone in your neighborhood or church know about attending. They address a lot of issues about downsizing and decluttering and moving and things that you haven't thought of before. They've got the whole topics. I think they're going to have multiple locations this next year, so everything is getting better and more involved, and you need to know about it. Not that you can attend everything, nobody can do everything, but you can know about it, and you can help when someone needs your help. That's the goal, is to be informed. Besides, it helps your brain, so go for it, right? We have a Wright Law Firm over here. We have Kara, and she's been so faithful every month. And this month, she has a education piece that you'll want to pick up. It's like where to start with your trust. Even if you have a trust, go by and get that paper from her, because it has new things that you need to double check on. Things change, right? Doesn't stay the same. Kids grow up, and things change for us, and we need to know about it. So make sure that you visit her table as well. And then we have Wellness and Longevity over here. We have Amber, and they have a lot of nurses that start with A, and they have Ashley and Amber, but this is Amber, so go by and greet Amber today. Amber represents a physician group that has all kinds of supplemental information that keep you healthy before something happens. And just a great partner with Villages Okay. So grateful that you're here as well. Let's see. I think one of the things we want to do is help people get connected. Let's see, do we have enough chairs? We may have to have. What we're asking our helpful education partners across the room now, if you would please, take your chair and go sit either here in the middle with somebody and introduce yourself to someone that you have not met before. So, Complete Okay, I forgot you. I'm so sorry. Here we got Chance and Lisa and Jill all there, all three. Oh my goodness, that would be terrible. What we want you to do is get to know Lisa, the most energetic cheerleader that you've ever met, that's over 50, right? And we have Jill. Yeah. Oh, really? No kidding. Yeah, and a woman who will tell her age will tell anything, so yeah. Anyway, so if all of the education partners would move now, please, and go sit by somebody that you've not met and introduce yourself. Would you do that, please? It's not that hard. You just roll over and then you stick out your hand and you say, hello, my name. Okay, Heather, just pick one. Just pick one and sit down. Yeah. empowering adults to age with vitality and purpose. Would you say that with me? Villages is empowering adults to age with vitality and purpose. And you can see that Villages is in the middle there. The graphic has kind of included that because we see Villages connecting people to each other, to businesses that you need to know about. So when you have a question, who would I call for this? That's what moms do. They say, look, they research on Google and then they ask their friend, who would you use for a pediatrician? Where do you go for this? And that's how you find out things. And so we want to be connected with people that are like-minded. That's what Villages is all about. We're really one connection about where to start and whom to trust. One of the things that we have is the gift, and I would encourage you to check it out. The gift, is typically a 4-week workshop. We cover all kinds of details about putting together your information in one notebook, personal, legal, medical, financial, home health, hospice, a crisis plan, and so forth. So the goal is to talk about it with your family after you put it in this notebook. The next class will be virtual in January, and so you can do this in your pajamas. It's on Saturday, so you don't have any excuses. Most of the things are going to be canceled because of the weather anyway, so sign up today and be a part of that. Get your act together. You know you've been needing to. And some of you need a refresher because you've done it several years ago, and so it's time to get in action. And so in the process, you'll get to meet local professionals and as well as other people, even online. And so this is one of our online sessions. We don't have many available, but this one's for you. I think last year, the January session was so full we had to close it because there was not enough place on the screen to see every face, So we do have our limits, right? Although maybe we'll talk to Evan and expand it next year if we use Harmony, right? Here's a question for you. Do you have 5 connections? You have 5 fingers, right? Do you have 5 separate connections? If I go to my daughters for everything, I'm going to wear them out. And I really would like them to keep liking me. So I asked myself, who are other people that I could know? Because we really need each other, We have this sign up here that says, are you connected? Did you see the signs coming in? Have you seen them? We want people to be connected. And so there are a few people who say, I don't need any more friends. But we know that we get better when we get new friends. I want to tell you that in one of my past careers, I couldn't really keep a job. And so in one of my past careers, I was calling on hospitals and presenting hospital equipment. And when I stopped working for this Danish company, I had realized I had no young friends. It's like everything I was doing was old. What's funny is this was 12 years ago when I thought it was, So it's like I was caring for Aunt Jessie and then my mother, and then it's like I was helping other people, but it's like I need some younger friends besides my children. So I joined a group called Go Givers. I don't know, there's a book out by Bob Burr about giving living, in other words, giving to others and learning about that. And so it was a networking group. The problem is it met in Edmond, far north Edmond, at 7 in the morning. So it really pushed me out of my comfort zone. I was majorly not in my age group there, but I met some of the greatest people and they really helped me. And what's great is I got to really introduce them to things that they'd never talked about before. So the book, they went through a book study and talked about how to be the power of giving first, which is what all of our education partners do. They give information first before they ask for the sale, and they're really the kind of people that aren't trying to push something off on you. It was a real stretch for me, but it was good, and I learned a lot, and they're still good friends today. So the question is, do you have a lot of friends? Most of us would say we have a lot of friends, but are they real connections? For example, some people are just an acquaintance, right? But they're not the kind of the friend. I asked Mary today, is that the kind of friend that you would call if you had a broken hip? Oh, no, not that kind of friend. So we have different kinds of friends, right? So here's the questions for you today. Kind of think for yourself and just think on your fingers as we go through these. Do you have someone you could call for help in a time of crisis or stress? So for 1 to 2 days, I locked out of my car, my battery's down, nobody else that I can call. Do you have a friend that you can call for that one short thing? Okay? So think on your fingers. Do you have someone you can call in a time of difficulty? So short term, like 1 to 2 weeks. So I don't have anybody to go get my pharmacy stuff and I can't drive because I just had surgery and I need some meals brought in. And meal trains often go for, Kara, do they go for what, a couple of weeks maybe, or you don't know yet? Well, you may learn, right? Yeah. Because friends do that for each other, but not forever. I mean, you can't feed somebody forever, right? And so, just short-term friends, okay? Did you think of someone? Do you have a friend that you can go to without invitation, day or night? If you knocked on their door like my neighbor did, she knocked on my door screaming. It was day. Her husband was grilling. He had left to go get more charcoal and put her in charge. And she went out, and the lid closed on her finger and was dangling. And she came bleeding and screaming at the front door. And I only knew their first names. I realized then I needed to know my neighbors a little bit better. I needed to get better connected. And I didn't have his number in the you know, she was trying to call him and she couldn't, and so forth. So in a day or night without invitation, who could you go to? You have one in mind? And a different one. Don't have the same one, because you'll wear them out. Do you have someone that you can talk to frankly about their weight? Or about your weight? Or about your sex life? Or about, do you have long-term care insurance? I mean, hard conversations, right? Do you have someone with whom you can have a hard conversation and expect honesty in return? Not that, do I look good, you know, because they have to say yes, right? But deep conversations that really, we need lots of good connections, don't we? And Villages is the place to find those kind of friends. You've got to work at it as well. You have to show up and be there for them in a giving, living kind of opportunity. So I would just encourage you today, as we listen to Bruce today, you will get some pointers on how to really connect in that point. But before we do that, one more thing. We have Providence, who is our signature sponsor, and I didn't mention, so Heather, if you'd come up. And do you have some questions for me? You know questions? Okay, well then, you get 1 minute. These sponsors are not only education partners, but they pay to help us, to help support us. And so Providence has been one of those all year, and we're so grateful. So in 1 minute, what do you have to say to us?
So with our home health and our personal care, this is the time of the year when the weather's starting to get worse. Sicknesses are coming into play, higher rates of flu, RSV. When the weather comes, transportation to doctor's appointments, things like that. Just know that Providence is here to help. We have different things such as our home health to deal with the sickness, or their personal care that can come in and help drive you to doctor's appointments, things like that. So we have a lot of options where we can come in and help you in this time. Also, seasonal depression is a huge thing that we deal with as we're aging, especially when we can't leave the house. We don't have those contacts like we normally do. And so that's just something where you're talking about making friends and making connections. This is an important time where you can feel like you can reach out to people when you're unable to leave your home as much. So make a telephone friend, someone that you can make a contact with, and check on your friends.
That's excellent. You have a great sweater, by the way. So, one of the things we want to do is urge everyone to think about which home care agency you would call when you need it, because it's likely you'll need home care more than you'll need hospitalization or anything else. And two of the best in the state are locally owned, like Providence Home Care and Complete Home Care. And so, complete hospice and home care. And so they even help each other. They refer back and forth because Complete covers statewide, and they have different distinctives. And so it's up to you to find out what their distinctives are and really take advantage of that and help recommend them. We need to keep the local good businesses going. My mama said, shop at home, and that's really what we're all about. Oh, what a great morning. I'm so excited. And so glad you're sitting by a new friend, right? Okay, so what is your decision? My home care provider, my personal one, which you're going to choose, so think that in mind. You've got 6 fingers now, right, to think about. All right. This is the year I resist normal, and we read this each time. So Leah's been here once, and Evan is here for the first time, and we have Heather here for the first time. But we say what we are not first, because we resist normal. Because normal people go, you buy Hallmark cards and say that you're over the hill when you're 37, and we know that that is not the case. And for you 37-year-olds, you have something to look forward to. But we're going to read this together, so read it with a strong voice, please. This is the year I resist normal, because normal is dehydrated, irritated, constipated, frustrated, overstimulated, overscheduled, undernourished, underrested, inflamed, and totally stressed out. I will resist normal. Feels good. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to say what we are. And this challenges us. because it stretches us. You ready? Read it with me. This is my best decade yet. I am a joyful, mature adult. I enjoy lifelong learning, planning, and serving. Today, I will find someone younger to encourage. I love my age. This is my best decade yet. You know what? I think the kids are getting it because I just had a birthday and I got 3 cards and the kids wrote and they put in, this is going to be your best decade yet. Isn't that great? So that means they know I'm going to send for another 10 years. That's a whole day, right? So we're inspiring people all the way around. Today we're going to hear from Bruce McIntyre, and you are in for a treat. Bruce is the CEO of Parkinson Alliance and vice chair of a national group, an independent Parkinson's Alliance. He's written 5 books, and he's had a perfect life with no problems. His books are Receiving Peace, Thrive Anyway, Parkinson's Positive, Graceful Transitions, and Resilient Life. He learned much of this expertise because of the tough things he's gone through. He's had parents and in-laws that have had challenges, much like some of you. He's had a wife who's dealing with a chronic autoimmune disease, and it's led him to some significant understandings. And yet, he's upbeat and positive, and we can learn from that. He writes a post weekly. The inspiration is called Perfect Space every week. And one of our village members had sent me this. I think she sent it to Eddie and I both in July, and said, this is why I'm a part of Villages. Bruce said it perfectly. He writes on his post about friendship, I want to have friends I can trust, the love for me, the man I've become, not the man I was. And Carolyn said, this is so good. This is what Villages does for me. So get your pens ready. And Gailey, what are you telling me?
I'm trying to, I forgot to tell you about questions. If you have questions, then sure you write them.
So the white cards that are blank, if you have questions as Bruce speaks, at the end we'll have a Q&A, and we'll collect those for him to answer. So will you help me please welcome Bruce, why Mindset Makeover.
All right. Thank you so much. It is so nice to be with you guys. We've known you for years. They do such good work. I see one of our former support group leaders from Muskogee, Oklahoma that's here today with the Parkinson's group. So nice on a emergently warmer December day to see everyone here. So thanks for coming out. Focus on what you have and can do rather than on what you don't have and can't do. This was said to me tens of times by a gentleman named Jerry Gill. Some of you might happen to know Jerry Gill. He played football for OSU back in the 60s, and they had some seasons kind of like this season. That was funnier than that chuckle, but I guess it was maybe it was more cheerful. I don't know. And he had a PhD in history. He did fundraising for the athletic department. He did all sorts of things at OSU. And the end of his career, almost the last 25 years of his career, he was the director of the Alumni Association. Built that big alumni center in the middle of campus. Was there during the Boone Pickens time and so forth. And so whether you're an OSU person or not, you have to acknowledge that was some pretty serious leadership and some really good work. So there's some OSU people over there. Well, Jerry, along the way in this charmed life of great success, about 20 years ago, was diagnosed with Parkinson's. And Jerry, in his telling to me, said, you know, when I got diagnosed with Parkinson's, it threw me for a loop. He said, it really knocked me on my can. I mean, I'm a positive guy. I've learned from a lot of great leaders and people, but when that happened, I was depressed, I was angry, I was lost, I was frustrated. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know anything about it. And I stayed that way for a little while, but then I got back on my feet. I met some people who helped point the direction for me. And can I tell you, since Jerry was diagnosed with Parkinson's, he became the person in the Stillwater community that when people got diagnosed, they said, you need to go talk to Jerry Gill. and he joined our board. And I co-authored a book with Jerry in 2014 called Parkinson Positive. And then Jerry became our board chair. And he was one of the best board chairs I ever had. He helped us engineer one of our best strategic visions of all time, which helped us have 5 times growth across the state in the past 10 years. Now, Parkinson's did catch up with Jerry. And he did pass away this summer. But Jerry is one of those guys who found a way to be positive anyway. He's one of those guys who lived a mindset makeover. Not because life was easy, but exactly because he faced challenges along the way. And it's what he learned along the way. And over and over and over, when we were working on the book, when he would come to board meetings, when we'd be at programming, he would remind me all the time, being 20 or 30 years older than me, he'd say, Bruce, I'm going to tell you, you got to focus on what you have and what you can do, rather than what you don't have and what you can't do. He's not the only person that ever said that, but in my life, he said it best. So, we're going to talk about a few things here. One of these, one of these things has to do with why mindset matters. So, the term mindset was really coined by Dr. Carol Dweck, professor at Stanford University in psychology. She wrote the book Mindset about 20 or so years ago. And there's been a lot of talk around this word mindset. It's probably not necessarily a new word for you. You may be very familiar with the science and all the research behind mindset. And even if you are, or whether you're not, you're still going to learn some useful, practical things today. My hope is that you walk away from here saying, man, there were some great stories that really inspired me. And also I hope you walk away saying, you know what? I heard an exercise that I'm really going to commit to practice every day for the rest of this year, and I'm going to get better with my personal mindset, no matter what's going on in your life. So, mindset. Dr. Dweck talks about a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset says, basically everything is predetermined, there's nothing I can do about it, it's just life is the way it is. And we wind up saying things like, well, I can't really do anything about it. I can't change that. I can't this, I can't that, can't. If anybody grew up in southeastern Oklahoma, southeastern United States, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, anybody? I grew up in Tennessee. Well, it's properly pronounced there, can't. It's not can't, it's can't. And that's one of those words. You ever have a word that just rubs you the wrong way? When I hear that word, I can't, I'm like, oh, I'll hurt somebody. No, I can't be doing that. Okay. Well, and then there's not just a fixed mindset, but there's a growth mindset. The growth mindset is all about learning. The growth mindset is all about rolling with the punches. The growth mindset is about can. The growth mindset says, man, I've been knocked down, but I'm getting back up. The growth mindset says, I am maybe old, but I still got things to learn. The growth mindset says, I'm here and I am still going. I'm going till I can't go anymore. That's the growth mindset. And so when Dr. Dweck talks about this, that's what she's talking about. And a little exercise that helps us kind of peek into that a little bit is an exercise of open and closed. So I'm going to ask you for 10 seconds. That's it. And we're going to do 2 of these back to back. First of all, we're going to close our eyes for 10 seconds. Nobody's going to tickle you or get you, don't worry. And we're going to we're going to let images of closed flood into our minds and roll past our eyes. So close your eyes for 10 seconds. Let images of closed roll through your mind. And now keep your eyes closed, and I want you to allow images and pictures of open to roll through your mind? Okay. All right, 10 seconds isn't much. Maybe we should have given it 30 seconds or a minute. But even in 10 seconds, when I say close, you might have an image. What's an image that popped into your head on close? Just blurt it out.
Door.
A door was closed. Okay, what else did you see of closed? Waving goodbye. Road closed. Okay. Death. All right. When we said open, what kind of images rolled through your mind with open? Windows. Sunshine. Open highway. I see open arms back there. Open arms. Open. Activity. All right. So open and close. These are opposites. Close really is more in line typically with more of a fixed concept. Open, more of a growth concept. And so close, when you think about that, just for those 10 seconds, all these images, they kind of lean more in the negative direction. They're not all necessarily, everything's closed is not negative, but a lot of things lean that direction. A lot of things that are open lean more positively in our minds. You know, we tend to think closed arms. Oh, they don't want to talk to me. Open arms. Come here, give me a hug. How many of y'all are huggers? I'm not a hugger. So, but I'm going to let you hug me today if you want. But I'll try to like it. Okay. All right. Open and closed. I'm open to it. I'm just saying. All right. Open and closed. Open and closed. Mindset. You see how that leans in that direction? It's very similar to learning and not learning. You know, when we're learning, don't you just love it when you talk to someone that says, I was reading just the other day, da, 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 da. Or you guess I went to this thing and guess what I heard? Versus the person that you talk to that never contributes anything new to the conversation. It's the same old, same old, same old. You're like, well, we love them, but man, I wish they'd learned something. This conversation's getting tired, you know? And so mindset really moves us in that direction. Mindset matters because it's about growth. It can be about open. It can be about learning as we're moving along. All right. Well, another thing that's really important in a mindset makeover is to talk about reframing negative thought. Okay? As positive, as optimistic as some of us may be, and maybe we may kind of come out naturally just more bubbly than other folks. We may have worked decades on it. But no matter who we are, we're going to have negative thoughts. Tough things happen in our lives. And I'll tell you a couple stories to get moving into this. Sometimes we reframe that negative thought because another person burst onto the scene. So, about 20 years ago, we bought our house. And about a month or two in, I went to Target to buy some new lawn chairs. And at the time, I did not have a truck. And the lawn chairs I landed on were not folding lawn chairs. They just didn't fold, you know. And in the store, I was really like, I think I can get that in the car. And I brought out 2 lawn chairs, and I kind of parked in the middle of the Target parking lot. So it was the low activity area of the parking lot. And I brought those chairs out, and I started trying to put them in my car. And I turned them every single way they could possibly be turned, and they would not fit in the trunk or the back seat or the front seat. And I was so frustrated, and I was so exasperated, and I had people I could call. I just couldn't call them because I had left my phone at home. And I had noticed all while I was trying to fit these chairs into the car that there was a guy about 2 rows over in a truck, and I kept catching his eyes with him in his rearview mirror from time to time. And finally, I was so exasperated, so frustrated, I just threw one of those chairs out in the parking place and sat down. It was just like, son of a gun, you know? And I'm just sitting there frustrated thinking, what do I even do? I don't have my phone with me. Do I ask them, can I leave them here and come back? What am I going to do? And I saw that door open on the truck. And this guy kind of comes moseying over, walks up to me very slowly and says, can't get the chairs in your car, huh? No. He says, well, where do you live? I said, I'm about 3 miles north of here. He said, I live about 4 miles north. Why don't you put them in the back of my truck and I'll follow you and I'll take them home for you. When my wife comes out, we'll do that. And that's what we did. And I thanked him profusely as I unloaded those 2 lawn chairs from the back of his truck to my house. And I realized when I did that, I never had asked for his name. And I to this day, I don't know his name. And to this day, I don't recall that I've ever seen him again. It almost makes you wonder, was he real or not? But that's how those got home. And I got to tell you, when he stepped out of his vehicle and started moseying over towards me with a grin on his face, my negative thoughts started reframing to hope, to solution. So sometimes other people can enter our world and help us reframe our thinking. Sometimes we are the people, and hopefully a lot of the times we are the people who walk onto the scene and help reframe someone else's downward spiral. All right, well, there's one way it goes. Here's another one. My favorite golf partner in the world is my dad. I grew up in Tennessee, and often my dad and I will play really bad golf. Actually, we're bogey golfers. We're not really bad. We're just a little bit bad. And we'll play golf at the Tennessee River Golf Course near Decaturville or Parsons, Tennessee, if you've ever heard of that or been there, kind of on straddling western and middle Tennessee. And on this particular day some years ago, we were at the Tennessee River Golf Course, and it was just beautiful. It was a weekday and there weren't many people out there, and it was springtime. And the green was just filling in on the trees, those tall, towering Tennessee trees. And it was quiet because we couldn't even see anyone else that was playing within sight. And the birds were singing their springtime song. The dogwoods were blooming. And I thought, this is just really an awesome day. I'm with my favorite golfing partner in a beautiful place. And we were playing decent golf. And then we rolled up on a hole that had some water on it. And my dad teed off and he landed the ball right on the green. And then I teed off and I heard 2 things that joined the sounds of the birds and the silence. One was the crack of the 7-iron, and the second was the splash in the water. And my good mood started to change. And I got really frustrated. And I kicked a little bit, and I thought, doggone it. And, you know, I've had times up until that point that I've ruined some good days of golf by getting mad over some bad shots. And I came home one time and my wife said, I don't mind if you play golf, but you're playing golf. You can't complain about it. I was like, fair enough. I don't play enough or practice enough to be any good, so what am I complaining about? And so on that day, I started to head down that downward spiral, and then I looked around and I realized, I reframed. And I noticed again, I'm with my favorite golfing partner, my dad. I'm out here in a beautiful place. I thought, you know what, that's all right. It's okay, shake it off. I'm going to try again. Another one, in the water. We got in the carts, went on over, and went about a lovely day of bogey golf. So reframing. Reframing is a tool that we use in our lives over and over and over again because negative experiences, negative thoughts, we're not immune to it. They come to us, they happen. And when they happen, it's really crucial that we know how to reframe our thoughts. One of the most likely times to need to reframe is when you get stuck. You can get stuck on all kinds of things. You can wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and your mind is going over and over and over and over the same problems, and it's so hard to get unstuck from that worry loop. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you are among the chosen few. I'm good for you. Don't try to learn it, okay? But for the rest of us, sometimes we have to get up, get some water, do something different to break that cycle of thought, right? To get unstuck from anxiety. You ever notice that what is worrying us at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning is a lot easier to solve at 8 o'clock in the morning? And you're like, why was that such a big deal at 2 o'clock in the morning? I don't know. I wish I could solve that. But we just have to figure out a way to break out of that cycle and to reframe our thoughts. Sometimes we can get stuck on guilt. And sometimes it's guilt in just forgiving ourselves. We messed up. Everyone here's messed up at something. But sometimes we look back and we judge ourselves as if we knew then what we know now. But we don't. We didn't know then what we know now. We know now what we know now. And that's one way we learned it. And so it's really hard work, honestly, to give yourself a break, to forgive yourself. We got other people we need to forgive too, but sometimes us is the hardest people to forgive. And we can get stuck in guilt. We can get stuck in anger. And there's good reasons to be angry. There's things to be angry about. But living angry is a terrible way to live. And so when you get stuck in an anger loop, getting unstuck from that requires a lot of reframing, requires a lot of work. Sometimes it requires some help, someone else to guide us out of that. Just discouragement, getting stuck in discouragement. I remember some years ago when I was much younger, and there was a gentleman who was telling me, he said, yeah, I remember I was in a bad mood one time for a few years. And I was like, holy moly. It's so sad. Well, now I'm 53, and I'm like, yeah, I see where you can get there. Yeah. So when you get, and you can be stuck in all kinds of things. Those are just a few examples. But I want you to think about this for a second. Look back over the course of your life and think, how have I ever been stuck? Maybe you're stuck in debt, stuck in a bad relationship, but maybe it's one of these things I just said. If you can put your finger on it and name it, and then think, wait, how did I get unstuck? Why am I not still in that job? Why am I not still dealing with that issue? What happened? How did I get past it? Maybe it took a week, maybe it took 10 years. But how'd you do it? And then reapply that. If you have somewhere you're stuck right now, name it, and think, wait, would some of the same principles of how I got unstuck in this other thing be useful getting unstuck this time? Even though it may be very different. Most likely you did some learning to get unstuck. You learned some new things. Most likely someone gave you some perspective that you did not have. Most likely in getting unstuck, through the help of others and your own habitual thoughts, you did some reframing of the situation. And you learned to think differently to get out of it. So we could go on and on for days about this, but I think we've had about all we can take. Reframing negative thought. It's a challenge, but it's essential to a mindset makeover. We can't just pretend we don't have negative thoughts. We do. And you can have negative thoughts. But when we get stuck in negative thoughts, we've got to reframe and engage it to have a mindset makeover. Here's another one that I love. And this is essential, I think, to a mindset makeover, is having times where you create calm, where you step into peace. You put yourself in a position to receive peace. Lots of our lives are loud, and there's lots going on. But I think we all value the moments, whether they are few or whether they are many, that we have calm and quiet. One of the prayers over the years that I've learned, I want to share with you. Some of you may have heard me talk about this over the years. It's called the Enough Prayer. Some years ago, this was suggested to me, and I went out in my neighborhood. We have a couple of ponds. I think they're really, or they call them lakes. They're kind of glorified ponds, I guess. And there's a little walkway through them, and lots of mornings, 200 mornings a year for sure. I get out in our neighborhood and I walk that little green belt. And I never come back from that walk feeling the same way I did when I left. I almost always feel better. And one of the things I'll do on those walks is different kinds of prayers and exercises like this. And so I learned this one, and it was basically just, thank you for giving me enough for today. I receive enough for today. If you remember the story from the Bible about the Israelites and the manna, you remember that? There was manna in the morning, but they couldn't hoard the manna for the next day or the next week or the next month, but there was always enough for today. That's kind of where that principle comes from. And so I heard that whole story, and I thought, okay, I'm going to try that. And I went out the first day, and I prayed that little prayer, thank you for giving me enough, I receive enough. Good grief, that's ridiculous. And then the next day, and I kept trying it, and after about a week of every day trying that prayer, I quit feeling silly. And I kind of started believing it. And I kind of started accepting it. And can I tell you that probably not a week or a month goes by that I don't pray that prayer? It's a pretty big notion to think, on this day I have enough energy, courage. I mean, be careful saying patience, because you know how that turns out. But I have enough to get to bedtime. I can get to bedtime. And then tomorrow I can start over and do it all again. Enough. There's another one here, and it's one. You know, when we have a lot of angst and anxiety, it usually has to do with there's too much. There's too many things coming at us, too many people need our help, there's too many thoughts, there's too much noise, there's too much, there's too many. And the challenge in those moments is to bring it back to one instead of many. One. One thing, one task, 1 hour, 1 day, right now. One. If you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're really suffering with the anxiety of way too much, and your mind is on the worry loop, get up, out of bed, go to your closet, go to the living room, go somewhere, write down, what in the world am I thinking about? And then on the other side of the paper, write down one thing out of those that you're going to focus on and maybe fix. Or that you say, well, I really can't, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, I can't fix any of this stuff. But I'm going to do this one thing first thing in the morning. When many and too much overwhelms us, one. One thing, one task, 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day, just one. One. Brings a lot of calm. Now, you have to practice these things over and over and over and over. And there's another one here called the release exercise. Anybody been to Martin Nature Park in the northwest part of the city? Yeah, okay, great. I love Martin Nature Park. I've lived in Oklahoma City 3 different stints in my life for a total of about 24 of my years, I think. And all of those 24 years, I have jogged or hiked at Martin Nature Park no less than about once a month or so. And so I've walked around Martin Nature Park, I don't even know, 200 to 400 times probably. And I don't know that this has always been there. I can't remember when it appeared, or maybe it has always been there. There's a bench kind of down the hill from where that little treehouse thing is at Martin Nature Park. And on that bench, every single time I go to Martin Nature Park, I sit down there because that bench says on it, I release all burdens, anxiety, and fear. Only good can come to me. LWB. No idea who LWB is, but I love LWB. I release. And when I sit down there, that's what I do. I think about, I'm worried about this fundraiser, I release it. I'm worried about the bills, I release it. I'm worried about whatever with the kids, I release it. I release all burdens, anxiety, and fear. I'll get back to it. I'll get back to it soon enough, probably later that day. But at that moment, at that particular place, sitting on that park bench, I release all burdens, anxiety, and fear. And sitting there in that precise moment, only good can come to me. I've never had a bird poop on me while I was sitting there. I suppose bad could come, but it hasn't in that particular moment. It may come later on, but in that moment, that's a really good meditation. And we usually have something that we just need to say, okay, look, at this precise moment, the only thing I need to do with this is let it go and get back to it. All right. So let's talk about practicing positivity. One fun little exercise here has to do with rewriting your greetings. Okay, so when you came in today, you saw someone you knew, what did they most likely say to you when they saw you?
How you doing?
How you doing? How's it going? What do you know? This is what we say to people when we greet them, right? Well, I read a thing from one of my favorite authors of all time, Robert Fulghum. I still read his blog every week. He's 89 years old. He still writes his blog. He lives in Moab, Utah now. He's the guy who wrote Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten, Uh-Oh, It Was on Fire When I Lay Down on It, back in like the late 80s and 90s. Still one of my favorite authors of all time. And he was talking about this, and I took his lead on this little exercise. He said, you know, instead of just responding the way everyone responds, when people say, how's it going? Fine, good. What do you know? Not much. What's up? Nothing. This is, well, 95% of this is what we say. And so I did this little exercise. It's like, I'm going to script my own new answers to these questions. And so that's what I did. So now, if you ask me, how's it going? How are you doing? I have my own answers. You say, how are you doing? I'm going to say, swell. I like saying swell. It really depends on the intonation. A lot of people dip into the 50s and 60s TV archives to bring out their responses, but I like it. Swell, great word. Or I might say, I'm having a good hair day. And just watch them figure out what to say next. You know, sometimes I'm like, you know what? I'm probably about a 9.5 out of 10. Yeah? What do you know? My standard answer, all kinds of things. I mean, nobody's interested in most of them, but all kinds of things. All right, what do you know? Top secret information. Rewrite your greetings. Think about the things you get asked very regularly and personalize them to you and get creative and just get a little crazy and try it. I am telling you, it is a practice of positivity. You intentionally say things instead of being on autopilot. Another great one, best not worst. When our thoughts spiral downwards, we're always thinking the worst. And sometimes we have to intentionally get ourselves to turn directions. And often we will assume the worst about ourselves or someone else, but what if we assume the best? And so in best not worst, you might think about some words like, what if? Or it's kind of akin to, you've heard of, we all have a little bit of paranoia about maybe people are out to get us. And you've heard the thing about the reverse paranoid, right? I think people are out to help me. You know, we think people are out to take our money, but some of us think people are out to give us money. You know, you turn it around. And it may or may not be true, but I tell you what, it sure startles your thinking. It gets you turned around in the direction of positivity. Best, not worse. Sometimes it's about challenging your cliches. There's one of the blogs that I do every week called Weekly Inspiration. I'll be at a table back there if you are interested in a book or signing up for that later. But I was doing one time on cliches, and I came across one and I asked someone about it. I was like, you know the cliche, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, yada, yada, yada. And they went, no. It's 2 steps backwards, 1 step forward. I said, I don't think so. I think it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So I researched it. You know what? It gets said both ways. One is kind of positive. You're going to make progress. One's kind of negative. You're going to lose ground. Actually, there are a lot of cliches that we say every day that we really don't mean, and we really don't think about them, but we could intentionally catch ourselves and re-script or quit saying them and say, decide on some better things to say. All right. So, we've talked through quite a few tools here. And I would like to ask you to think about these. Reframing. You know, you probably had a picture in your mind as I was talking about the parking lot with the lawn chair or the golf course, but that probably stoked in your mind another scenario where you need to reframe or where you have reframed. And that is a practice you can do. You can practice for 21 days from now till the end of the year, reframing some thought that you'd like to change. You might decide you want to practice the enough prayer for 21 days, every single day till the end of the year. You might decide, you know what, I'm going to focus on one. Every day I'm going to challenge myself and try to figure out the one when I get flustered with the minute and do that little exercise. Or maybe it's the release exercise. Or maybe it's rewriting some of your greetings. Or maybe it's intentionally switching to your best, not your worst. Or challenging your cliches. Or maybe it's something else that you thought about or that we said today that puts you on the track of a mindset makeover. From downward spiral thought to upward spiral thought. And as you do that, you're going to be doing what Dr. Dweck talks about. You're going to set yourself on a growth trajectory, not a fixed mindset, but a growth mindset trajectory. You're just going to be good for your neuroplasticity because those thoughts and synapses are firing away. And you're going to be doing what my mentor and friend and former co-author told me so many times, Jerry Gill. You're going to be focusing on what you have and what you can do, rather than what you don't have and you can't do. We focus on what we have and we can do, and we make the most of that. And that means we're moving in the right direction. And when we're doing that physically, mentally, socially, spiritually, emotionally, all the ways, you're experiencing a holistic mindset makeover. And good news, you're the ones that are here, so you're literally doing it. Good news, there's no guilt, no shame. You already won today. And so you're on the right track. I hope at least one of these stories has made you giggle or has inspired you. I hope at least one of these exercises is one you can latch onto from now to the new year. Thank you for coming today. I hope you experience a great mindset makeover.